Hi team, we're back. We are back. It's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute. The championship, that's not been playing. The Blast, that's not been playing. But the quarterfinals for the Vitality Blast are just around the corner. My name is Dan Jadzovic, joined by Dan Weston. Just a quick note, Dan, before I ask you how you are and whether you're looking forward to these quarterfinals. But we set ourselves a goal at the start of this summer of reaching 1,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. And we're getting there. We are getting there slowly. Like a Dom Sibley County Championship innings, we're getting there at a strike rate that, hey, we'd like to get there a little bit quicker. So if you are new here and you're not subscribed, help us out and help us reach that goal of 1,000 subscribers. It doesn't cost you anything. It won't take you very long to do it. But Dan, how are you? And are you looking forward to these quarterfinals?
Yeah, mate. Well, really well. I wish I could say that the 1,000th subscriber would get an extra free transfer, but that's not the case. But really looking forward to these quarterfinals actually, and yeah, got some theories and some strategies that I think we might be able to run through in this course of this episode.
I'm looking forward to it because I might need some help, and I'm sure a few others might need a little bit of a hand as well. Neither of us, Dan, surprisingly, make the top five of the game, but I will tell you who is sat top. It's Liam Evenden with The Sharks Are Sinking. I can only assume that must be a Hampshire fan with, what is that, about 16,000 points, which you and I are quite a long way behind, I believe. Stuart Smith, Tom Acton, and Nick French, Carl Seed round out that top five. So good luck to you guys going into these quarterfinals. It's not that far between them. It's about 500 points from first down to fifth place. So you got a chance. You definitely got a chance. How about some of the players that you might be after? Here is the dream team from the cricket draft for the group stage of the Blast. And Dan, I'll just get your thoughts on these as we go through, whether you've had them, whether you think you're bringing them in or not. Obviously, there's going to be a few of them that are going to be straight no's because they've never made it to the quarterfinals. But go with the batters across that top line. Nye Donald, James Vince and Tom Kohler-Cadmore. Nye Donald, nearly 1,500 points in the group stage for Derbyshire. Not going to be there in the quarterfinals. But Vince and Kohler-Cadmore, do they tickle your fancy for the quarterfinals?
Well, I've already got Kohler-Cadmore in my team, so that's
fancy tickled then, Dan.
Yeah, so that's all good. Yeah, maybe I might splash out on Vince, but I don't think I probably will because I'd probably rather spend my money on the best all rounders rather than the like just a pure batter basically.
Yeah, well, how about some of those best all rounders then? David Willey, 1,800 points, nearly 1,900 points. Will Jacks, late arrival into the competition, but still nearly amassed 1,500 points. Dan Douthwaite for Glamorgan and Chris Green for Lancashire, who is obviously no longer there. He's over playing for Barbados. How about those? David Willey, Will Jacks, one of those guys in your team?
Well, I had David Willey and then eased him out when the glut of fixtures for Northants, which happened at the start of the tournament, eased up. I do have Will Jacks on my team currently, but I'm not sure he's going to be available for quarterfinals. And I'm extremely indebted to Will Jacks because last week I played my double captain, and him and Sam Curran got almost 1,750 points between them, and that might have elevated me to the top of our little mini league, Dan.
Well, hey, this is why you're the analyst, Dan. This is why you're the tactician. I'm only the presenter. I tee you up to provide you with your knowledge. Tom Moores is the wicket keeper. Nottinghamshire aren't there, so potentially Tom Kohler-Cadmore taking the gloves in your side, or would you look for somebody else to play that role?
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to have Tom with the gloves in this particular game because also I'm not sure Tom Banton's fit to keep because he hasn't been keeping in 100.
No, good point. And then the three bowlers, finally. Ben Dorshus for Worcestershire, Hassan Ali and Ben Sanderson to round that 11 out. Ben Sanderson down at the Oval with the new ball against Surrey. Do you see him being a good pick for Northamptonshire or for the Steelbacks?
Rather disappointingly for you, Dan, I know as a bit of a Steelbacks aficionado, I am going to swerve Northants players this week because away at Surrey is about as tough as it gets.
Yeah.
And I think also if you're looking at the last few years, South Group teams have generally held sway over the North Group teams. And I look at the four fixtures and I think Northants are the biggest underdogs out of all of the teams. So with a view to finals day, I probably don't really want to look at investing in any Northants players.
Yeah, no, I think that's wise. But we love an upset, don't we, in English sport? We love an underdog story, and the Steelbacks, they won't consider themselves to be underdogs, but it will be a tough task, won't it, to go and play up against Surrey in that first quarterfinal. That's the third, isn't it? Tomorrow, actually, that game gets played. All-rounders, Dan, as you'd probably expect, 7 of the top 10 overall point scorers are all-rounders, but they're quite expensive. I think, personally, Dan, you might disagree, but I think the cricket draft have priced these all-rounders really well this year.
Oh, so well, yeah. You can get them all in your team, but you're going to have to pay for the privilege. And I think that's pretty fair. Like, you know, like I said, I gave those examples of double captain on 2 all-rounders and getting me not far off 1,800 points, you know. So, like, yeah, they're expensive, but a lot of the time they're worth it.
Absolutely right. Some players here as well that haven't played all the way through the group stages, whether that was injuries, whether it was international call-ups, whatever that might be. But there's a few little, I guess you'd call them sleepers, Dan, that maybe you're not quite thinking about. They're not, if you filter the statistics for points scored amongst the teams that have made the quarterfinals, these guys aren't going to be top of those lists. But you've got Zach Crawley. He played the first 4 games of the competition, then obviously went off to play that test series against India. Picked up 215 runs at a strike rate of 172. Only cost £7.5 million. Dan Lawrence, he picked up an injury, but averaging 114 points per game in the games that he has played. Ben Rain as well, he was injured during that first opening salvo of the Blast, but nearly 800 points in 7 games for Ben Rain up at Durham. And then Chris Lynn as well, he was a bit of a late arrival for Hampshire, wasn't he? That was in replacement for Hilton Cartwright, if I remember rightly. Chris Lynn came in. Anyway, scored 136 points for the game that he has played for Hampshire. And he's fit, and he's available. I'm sure those guys you've been thinking about for this week.
Probably the first 2 more so. So Zach Crawley's coming off the back of a good 100 tournament as well. So kind of feels like if there's a time to get him in, it might be this time. But I would say Kent probably after Northants the second biggest underdogs out of all of the quarterfinalists, and the pitches at Old Trafford have not been conducive to fluent stroke making and high strike rates in general, which obviously is what Zach would be looking towards. So I can see why people would put Zach Crawley in, but I can also see why there might be a doubt over that as well. Dan Lawrence, I think, is a nice shout. Actually, he's a batter right in this game.
I believe so.
Yeah, and with Will Jacks playing for England, I think he might bowl a little bit more as well. So you've got that extra kind of manipulation of the positions there as well. So out of those 4, I think Dan Lawrence might be the one that I would focus on potentially.
I love this non-committal for Dan Weston. I would sway towards. Are you, Dan? Are you swaying towards Dan Lawrence?
I'm not sure yet. Well, I've got to replace 2 all-rounders and a bowler, 100%. I've got another free transfer that I could throw somewhere else. Maybe it might be Lawrence for somebody. We'll see.
Hey, that's a great segue you've just teed us up for there with regards to the information for this upcoming game week. You've just spoken about your free transfers, but in order to set your team up for this week, the Cricket Draft have allowed you a miserly 4 free transfers going into this quarterfinal. You've still got the 3 penalty ones, so they do come at a cost at 75 points each. So you can make 7 changes overall. As we've spoken and we've been consistent throughout this entire series for the Blast, actually those 75 points in a short format game can be quite difficult to make up. So use them wisely or use them at your peril. Assuming obviously things go particularly well for you during the quarterfinals, you then get 6 free transfers for finals day. So should get you covered for there. And I think, Dan, as you've just said, you've got to start looking at these quarterfinals and start building your squads with finals day in mind. You could get it completely wrong. The underdogs could win, but you're doing all right because you've got 1 free transfer to kick around with. I've already spent a penalty, so I'm struggling.
Well, this is the thing, Dan. You've got to plan this stuff in advance, and I've managed to go into the knockouts with 9 players already, or 9 players from qualified teams. I tried to kind of set that up, and the 2 who didn't were from Sussex, who were in with the shout in the last game. So again, that was with that in mind. So for me, I feel like the processes have been rewarded to some degree in terms of avoiding those penalty transfers. But maybe we could have been a bit tighter. Maybe the powers that be at the cricket draft could have gone for 3 free transfers, annoyed everyone else, but taught them a lesson in terms of prior preparation.
No, Dan. No. This is meant to be a fun and friendly game and sport, Dan. You can't start penalising people for these silly little mistakes that we all make, and I'm one of them.
There'll be
You
people
got a
with
bit of
spreadsheets out there. There will be people with
yeah.
spreadsheets.
I mean, hey, they stress me out, Dan. I can't be dealing with those. I'm sure a lot of people invest in them though, including yourself. So there's obviously method to the madness, that's for sure. You got a small issue of England playing some one-day international cricket versus South Africa through the course of this week. They got games on the 2nd, 4th, and 7th. So a few players, although we will caveat it and say, I mean, you never know for certain, but a few players are unlikely to be around. I'll just run them through real quick. We don't think we need to spend too much time on them. But obviously, we can talk about a few individuals if you want to. But the Bears will be missing Jacob Bethel, Durham, Bryden Carr, Sonny Baker for Hampshire. Kent will be at full strength. Lancashire without Joss Butler and Saqib Mahmood. The Steelbacks at full strength. Tom Banton included in that setup. So he won't be around for Somerset. And then Will Jacks, Jamie Overton and Jamie Smith, all for Surrey, who won't be around for these quarterfinals. Is anybody there, Dan, that you want to kind of focus on a little bit? Sonny Baker for me is an interesting one. And firstly, congratulations to him. I'm sure he's watching. I'm a big avid fan of the cricket draft, I'm certain. But a bargain pick, really, for a lot of people this year in the Blast game. I think he comes in about £5.5 million, done well in the championship, and so a few people might have banked on Sonny Baker being available, and unfortunately he's had the big call up.
Yeah, so I think this is a good example of you can do all the preparation in the world and then not foresee him getting a call up for England, which wastes one of your four free transfers. So I do sympathise with Baker purchases over the last few weeks or last few weeks of the actual regular comp. It's an interesting one because obviously Surrey heavy favourites at home to Northants, but they do miss 3 big players. So there's a test of their strength and depth. Their strength and depth is usually pretty good, but it's still a test for them given the fact that Northants are likely to be at full strength.
Yeah, absolutely. They certainly will. Although Matt Bretsky won't be available for that setup against Surrey. I'll just run through again quickly, just the overseas players that we understand will be here and available for these quarterfinals. Dan, you probably know better than I do, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if we start seeing a couple of player announcement signings for the quarterfinals in the next.
They have to play the group stage.
Right. Okay. So in which case we're committed in.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, for Birmingham then, we think Hassan Ali will be available. Not aware of him being in any other competition around the world at the moment. Durham will have David Bedingham. Hampshire, Chris Lynn and Hilton Cartwright. Kent, they go without one at the moment. Chris Green for Lancashire, but I'm certain that I know he is because I saw him the other day in Trinidad playing for Barbados. So unless he's flying back to Manchester to play the quarterfinal and then coming back to the Caribbean Premier League, it seems unlikely he's going to be available. That's some serious air miles and a good carbon footprint there. Ashton Turner, potentially available for Lancashire. Matt Bretsky, as I say, he has not been given clearance by Cricket South Africa, but Tim Robinson, the New Zealander, will be available for the Steelbacks. Riley Meredith and Miguel Pretorius, both for Somerset. And then Surrey, they'll go in without Adam Zampa, Nathan Smith and Mitch Santner. So there's a few little potholes for you to navigate yourself around. But you said, Dan, before we started recording, you've built your team up with domestic players. You're not worrying about overseas. Is that something that you genuinely prepared for? Because it felt, now I've asked you that question and thought about it and listed through those guys, it feels like something that would have been very, very sensible for you to have set your team up that way.
Yeah, no, that it kind of was in the back of my mind that there's this big gap after the Blast group stages before the knockouts, and that's going to make it very awkward for overseas players who don't have multi-format deals, which is the vast majority of them don't have those multi-format deals. So Yeah, it's a big ask. For example, as you say, Chris Green to fly back from the Caribbean for a game. I'm sure he's going to be gutted to miss out for Lancs, but it looks very likely that he will have to do that. And yeah, I always try and pick with availability at the forefront of my mind, and I wouldn't say that it was my overriding thought at all, but it was something that I was considering when I was building those squads with the view to knockouts.
Good planning. Good planning, Dan. I only wish I could be as prepared as you. Okay, finally, we've got a few of these to go through, 8 of them, in fact. We're going to go through the Cricket Draft's predicted 11s for these quarterfinals. We're going to start with the Birmingham Bears, Dan, a city that you've spent some time in over the last couple of weeks, but they line up, as you can see on screen, or at least that's what we're predicting. Key all-rounders with Dan Mousley, Ed Barnard, key batters Sam Hain, and hopefully Hassan Ali available. Who stands out for you amongst this Birmingham side? And I suppose the second question to that is, would you invest in Birmingham players with a view to to finals day as well?
Well, that game at Taunton against Somerset is probably one of the hardest ones to call out of the 4 quarterfinals. Probably the hardest one to call out the quarterfinals. They're probably, I would say, the North Group team with, apart from Lancs, who are at home against Kent, the biggest shot of upsetting a South Group team.
Yeah.
But we know Somerset are extremely strong at home. It's probably conditions that the Bears are unused to facing in the North Group in terms of how batter friendly Taunton is and the size of the boundaries, which in normal circumstances I'd be looking towards a Hassan Ali or a Richard Gleeson who tended to do well in this comp, but Taunton's often a bowler's graveyard, so maybe it might not be the smartest time to do it. Will a Mousley or a Sam Hain or someone like that look to be a stronger option in terms of the batting instead on what's likely to be a very good batting surface?
Yeah, tough one to call. Well, I'm glad I asked you the tough question because that's what I'm here for, Dan. Lancashire, the Lightning, where are they lining up? We've mentioned the players that aren't going to be available, but those that will be available, the evergreen James Anderson, obviously been brilliant through the group stage of the Blast. Liam Livingston as well, he's had that well-documented conversation, spat. I'm not sure what it is because he doesn't know where he stands with Rob Key in England selection, but that is to the benefit of the Lightning, and obviously captained by Keaton Jennings as well, one of the real stalwarts of English domestic cricket over the last 10-15 years. Look like a good side on paper, this Lancashire 11, and you mentioned the fact that they are playing against Kent.
Yeah, it's really interesting discussion actually, because I've already got 3 Lancs players in my team: Salt, Wells, and Luke Wood. So it's going to be tough for me to fit anyone else in. Obviously, we don't think Chris Green's going to be available. The star player obviously is Livy at 8.9 million, the most expensive player out of all of their squad. And he's been in brilliant form over the summer with both bat and ball. His bowling's been really strong actually, and against a Kent team that looks fairly weak against spin, he might be a great all-round option, albeit at a high price. At a cheaper all-round option, Tom Hartley is likely to be able to bowl 4 overs with good expectation. So he might be another one to keep an eye on, get on side.
Yeah, good point. God Squad, Surrey. Who are they going in with into this quarterfinal, and which of the 3 players from here have you tapped up? Obviously, Sam Curran will be available. He's not in international favours at the moment, but what a phenomenal T20 cricketer he is. He'll be captaining that side. England Test experience, Gus Atkinson, who's one of the hottest properties in world cricket right now, in my opinion. Jason Roy on the comeback trail, and Laurie Evans taking the gloves as well. Just who have you picked up, Dan, from this Surrey squad?
So at the moment I've got Evans, Curran and Jacks. So I've got to lose Jacks because obviously the England commitments. Yeah. Might bring in Tom Curran instead, which saves me close to $1 million, which I can spend elsewhere. and then I might lose Evans and bring in Dan Lawrence, that'll be my extra transfer in terms of the three that I've got to make. So I still have a little bit of money to spare on that because I think Lawrence is going to bowl. If you look at this team,
Yeah.
they don't really have any other spin options. So for me, that looks a smart pick. Chris Jordan, those people who are looking at Chris Jordan, I would, be a bit cautious in terms of, I think he had an injury recently, so he probably wouldn't be someone I'd look to risk bringing in.
I think with Tom Curran and Chris Jordan as well, unless things don't go particularly to plan, Surrey don't really have those high impact all rounders, do they? Because the batting lineup is so strong. You end up with a Chris Jordan at 9 rather than potentially 7, and you don't face the deliveries that you're hoping for. Laurie Evans, though, with the gloves, could be a little keeping option there if you wanted to look elsewhere with Jamie Smith playing in that white ball series for England. Kent travelling up to Manchester for their quarter-final. We spoke about Zach Crawley coming back and being available. Italian international Grant Stewart, who's played some phenomenal innings across the course of the summer. Sam Billings captaining that side, one of the best white ball England cricketers that they've produced over the last 15 years. And obviously their leg spin option, which could go particularly well up at Old Trafford, but Matt Parkinson.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that I probably won't be bringing in any Kent players because of the fact that it's a tough ask to go to Old Trafford and win. But on those pitches, maybe Parky would be an option for those teams who are looking for a Kent player. And yeah, you could still bring a Kent player in who you think is going to go particularly well in those conditions. Because you've got, I think, 6 free transfers before finals day, so it could be a decent short-term option in investing in Parky.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it as an option. Durham, who are they picking? They're obviously going to go in with that white ball kind of local legend, really, Nathan Souter. He will be available for Durham, along as Callum Parkinson. So they'll have 2 kind of box office spinners in their side. Ollie Robinson with the gloves. Alex Lee's taking the captaincy, and maybe we spoke about him a little bit, but that all-round explosive cricketer, I saw him play a ridiculous innings at Wantage Road earlier this summer, but Ben Rain is available for Durham as well.
Yeah, so Durham versus Hampshire is a really interesting one actually, because I actually think out of the South Group teams, Hampshire can adapt to Durham's quite unique conditions better than most in terms of I think the home ground is like not as dissimilar to Chester Street as most, and the way that they're set up, I think could still do really well there. I think that it's going to be a bowler friendly match. Both teams look probably stronger with the ball than they do with the bat, and I'm not rushing to get one of these players in, but there are some good options. Obviously, Souter was incredibly impressive in the 100 final, and there's some all-round options as well. So some considerations, but it probably wouldn't be a squad that I'm looking to massively invest in.
Yeah, back down in the South Group this time with Somerset. Will Smead, one of the hardest hitting batters in English cricket at the moment, he will be around. Captained by Lewis Gregory again. Could he fall into that category of not facing enough deliveries in order to qualify as one of those high impact all rounders? Tom Kohler-Cadmore we've spoken about as well, and maybe a little sleeper pick, someone as an all rounder that could bat in that kind of top 3. But Lewis Goldsworthy, what do you think about Somerset's squad?
Yeah, always difficult to predict their batting order to some degree. It wouldn't even shock me if they picked James Rue or his younger brother Thomas as well, who have both done exceptionally well in the 50 over comp. I agree with you about Gregory. It's tough to know if he's going to bat in the top 6. He may well bat at 6, and then even if he does, he might not necessarily bowl his full quota of overs. So tough one. I think that Smeedy at Taunton is a good pickup, and I think that potentially Kohler-Cadmore, who I've already got in my squad, is definitely someone I'm willing to keep on side ahead of this match.
Yeah, good shouts. Hampshire, what are Hampshire going with? Well, they'll obviously have one of the leading run scorers in T20 history, James Vince. The captain will be available to lead Hampshire in that quarter-final. The 2 overseas we've spoken about, Chris Lynn, Hilton Cartwright. Do you invest in them? Are they then going to be available for finals day? Should Hampshire make it? There's a question for you to answer. Liam Dawson, he's backing around. It's nearly 8 million for Liam Dawson, though. Does he have as big of an impact in the Blast as what he does in the Championship? And a bit of a bargain, and the only real kind of standout bargain amongst the players that I've looked at so far, Eddie Jack, 4.7 million. This Hampshire squad looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, nice squad actually. Probably quite bowling strong as well compared to some of the others. With I've already got Scott Curry in my team, and with the gloves or keeper batter, I've also got Toby Albert. I think it's really good value at 6. I think Chris Wood, a player that I've worked with over the last month a lot. Good friend and someone who I think has been absolutely top drawer in the 100 over the last 2 seasons and bowled really, really well this year. So he's coming back into the Hampshire setup in good confidence. Obviously Benny Howell as well, another Phoenix legend, and James Fuller and Liam Dawson. So they're stacked full of all rounders. Potentially could bat fairly deep as well. So I think they're really well set, and I make them favourites probably to win up at Durham.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair shout, but I think it will be a great game of cricket. Finally, the Steelbacks, the Northamptonshire Steelbacks, captained by David Willey. Ravi Bopara, still around, still playing T20 cricket, which is incredible. Hasn't bowled that much for the Steelbacks this year, so there's something to take into consideration if you're looking at Ravi Bopara as one of those high-impact all-rounders. New Zealand international Tim Robinson, Saif Zabe, who's been in phenomenal form in red ball cricket this year. Not quite done it in the Blast, though. And then Ben Sanderson, new ball magician with Ben Sanderson. We spoke about him at the Oval, but who in that Steelback squad, if anybody, Dan, are you looking for these quarterfinals?
Yeah, I think it's tough given the fact that they've got Surrey away to really want to massively invest in this squad. I would probably, if I was going to look at anybody, I would probably look at Saif Zabe, primarily because while he didn't have the best 100 with the bat, his bowling involvement was so much greater than it has been in previous tournaments and even for Northants. So he's obviously picking up a lot more confidence with the ball and bowling well. And the batting is just a matter of time before it fires again. So for me, you throw those two things into the equation, plus his superb fielding as well. He's always in the positions to get catches and to earn points that way. So for me, Saif Zabe would be at 7.2 if I'm looking to replace, say, James Coles, who I've got in my squad at the moment. It's 0.1 million more. So I can take that hit pretty easily. And Zabe for Coles could be something I might consider.
Yeah, I think it's a good option, particularly if that playing surface at Surrey's large for that quarterfinal. That bit of off pace could be a good option. Anyway, there we go. End of the episode. Dan, thank you so much for getting involved. Again, it's been great to chat with you and catch up, and great to talk about these quarterfinals that are coming up. As I said, we're trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark by the end of the season, so please just hit that little button for us and help grow this community. That would be massively helpful. Drop us a comment, let us know which players you're picking, let us know where you're sat in the league, let us know how you've generally got on with the Blast, whether you have prepared for these quarterfinals or whether you're like me and you've had to use a penalty transfer. And we'll see you very soon. We'll see you for some championship cricket, I would imagine. We'll be next to discuss as red ball cricket returns to the UK, but we'll catch you then, and good luck this week.